It's just before Team of the Year, and it'd be very rare to find a gold outfield player in people's teams. However, even at this stage, I still see opponents using gold goalkeepers. So today, I wanted to investigate if it's actually worth upgrading your goalkeeper, or if it is more cost effective to stick with a fodder keeper like Alisson. And over the last few weeks, I've actually been collecting data on how goalkeepers are performing in my games. But as I'm still in the process of collecting data, I think it would be good to take a look at the FUT Numero cards, as they've all been given a stat boost, but also additional playstyles as well. So for the data set we're working with today, we have 9 games played with Alisson. He faced 72 shots, 50 of which were on target, and he saved 33 of the 50. And then FUT Numero Alisson had 8 games played, facing 55 shots, 36 were on target, and then he saved 25 of those 36 shots on target. So this gives us save percentages of 66 and 69.44%. However, when we look at the stats on a game-by-game basis, and also take into account the XG in each game and measure the XG under or over performance, we get a much clearer picture on if the Numero Alisson is worth the upwards of 150,000 extra coin investment. So what you're seeing on your screen now is a breakdown of the save percentage per game. The graph on the left definitely looks better, but surprisingly, that's actually the graph for gold rare Alisson, and the one on the right is the Numero version. Now, there is an adjustment to be made to that Numero graph. The 7th game there, it looks like an entry of 0 saves, but my opponent actually had 0 shots that game, so when we adjust for that, the Numero graph improves, but it's still paling in comparison to the rare gold version. So what's explaining this? Quite simply, the 2 chances that my opponent had in that game were very clear-cut chances. Lay a little ball into Zaha here, volley right in front of Alisson, and he doesn't really have much chance of saving that. But it's important not to cherry pick that. Alisson does well here, stands up Lukaku. I'm trying to play it out, lose the ball again. It falls to Lukaku. I try and move my keeper, and then while I move my keeper, it flicks into my defender, causing him to flick it into the back of the net. And even my opponent recognised that goal was a bit jammy. So when we look at the XG data, keep in mind some of these goals were a bit jammy. These next 2 here, I guess if you had rush out playstyle, you might have been able to get to these. But at the end of the day, my opponent did pass around Alisson instead of trying to get a shot through him. So when we look at the XG, you can see the XG faced and the goals conceded. You can see it's actually kind of in line. Here's the outperformance and underperformance. And remember, I'm testing the data on every keeper I use and every keeper I face, and based on my findings so far, Alisson's actually one of the better performing keepers in the game. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see the broader findings once I have more stats collected. But if we move on to Numero Alisson, you can see in his performance graph that he never underperforms his XG once. So that's obviously demonstrating that when Alisson does concede, he probably should be conceding the goals. And even in that game where we had that crazy problem with the player switching not registering, he still outperformed his XG in that game. I also collected data for the save percentage on the near post and the far post. You can see gold Alisson is kind of in the middle on both aspects, whereas the Numero Alisson had a big drop on the near post and a large increase on the far post. As it's a small sample size, I think those cutbacks and even goals like this where it's a rebound could be skewing the near post down on Numero Alisson. So I think we can only really draw a conclusion on that once I've analysed a larger data set with all of the goalkeepers. And also with how broken near post shots have been on FIFA these last couple of years, I have a feeling when we look at the larger data set, it might be the case that the near side save percentage isn't really that important. What makes a goalkeeper good is the amount of shots that they can save on the far post, because I think near post shots are more about the angle, the power, and the finishing on the striker rather than the goalkeeper's ability. So it'll be good to test that, and I'll hopefully have that up soon. Let me know in the comments if you invest in your keeper or you kind of just use an untradeable one that you have in the club, and also let me know if there's any keeper you think I should specifically check out in my testing.